Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode thingy of Shownanigans. To start off the episode, we are going to do a summary of the first episode of Castle, which is the series we are going to be watching during this first part of Shownanigans. So Duke, give us the summary thingy.
So, what happens when a mystery novel writer and a homicide detective in the NYPD come together and work on a case? Welcome to the first episode of Castle. In this episode, you get a feel for the main characters of the show. Richard Castle, a mystery novel writer, and Kate Beckett, a detective in the NYPD, as they solve a case involving a copycat murder referenced in Castle's books.
So it's already like it's only our first episode, but we already have a special guest, and her name is
Harpreet!
Harpreet.
Aww.
Harpreet, what do you know about Castle? So I don't know too much about Castle, but Deva does. And what do you know?
So far, whatever I've watched from the episode, it's just like he's a mystery novel writer, and he's
He's a bit of a dick.
Well,
He's
kind
funny.
of like he's funny, but at the same time, he's like really he's a big womanizer.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and the way he tries to seduce the detective and all that stuff, it kind of felt cheesy, but at the same time, it was like, can you just do your job and leave?
Exactly. Also, like, what was with, like, the styling? It was like it was shot in, like, 1998, but, like, the thing on Wikipedia says, like, 2009.
Yeah. That gets better later on in season 3.
Season 3?
Yes.
So you're telling me I have to get to season 3 to like everything?
Well, okay, so I started watching the show from season 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
Like-
every episode is different.
Okay. So, like, I thought it was okay. I didn't really like Castle too much, because he's like a womanizer.
Yeah.
What did you think? You thought he was a womanizer, right, Harpreet?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is a fact. He is a womanizer.
He's like Tom Selleck in Magnum P.I., if anyone's seen Magnum P.I. He's like a big man baby, basically.
Yeah, but there's another part that I really liked about him, which is like the way he treats his daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like the way he like takes care of her and everything, and then it also shows the same way from her as well. If he was a bad dad, then I don't think like she's a teenage daughter, and she wouldn't realize that, and she wouldn't even give him that much respect.
Yeah, I noticed that when he was with his daughter, he was more relaxed than regular. It's okay. He was more relaxed than like regular, but when he was with other people, it was like he was putting on this big bad boy
Yeah.
act or something.
Yeah.
What do you
The
think?
bad boy charm, like she mentions.
Yeah, what do you think?
He kind of overdoes it in that aspect.
That's
like,
why it's so
the whole-
cheesy?
Yeah. But I also think that like the way he acts and everything, it kind of provides a little bit of like comic relief, and it takes away from like the whole pressure from the show.
Yeah.
Because the cases, like right now it's just the first episode, but the cases get like more and more intense as the show goes on as well.
Uh-huh.
So he plays a huge part in like making the show easier to watch,
Okay.
basically.
'Cause
More
I-
relaxing.
Because I've watched like a lot of crime dramas, like other ones, like especially British ones, and they have like really cheesy ones,
Mm-hmm.
like Rosemary and Thyme, and then you get like really hard-boiled, dark ones like Vera, and this one is kind of in between, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, it just makes it for like a better watching experience for the viewers, I guess. Yeah.
So let's, I guess, talk about what happened in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we saw was the blood and stuff. Like I have in my notes blood and
Yeah,
roses.
I have ooh blood.
I have ew blood.
It's the first thing. Yeah, it's the first thing. Like the woman says, murder.
Murder.
Yeah.
And then we immediately cut to Castle signing someone's boobs.
Yeah, it's like, so where do you want me to sign the boob?
Basically, you get a gist of like what Castle is like right at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
And then you just like go more and more in depth, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's okay.
And most of his fans are like young girls, you know, like all those like in the early 20s, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, Castle,
Yeah.
please sign me here.
They're like, oh, he's so hot.
And the wink that he makes every time.
Oh,
like,
God.
Oh, yeah, here
Oh,
it is.
God.
Here it is. Where do you want me to sign? Which boob?
Oh Lord.
So Rick Castle, he's an author, and he's like a prolific author, and he has many mystery novels
Yeah.
with his main character that I didn't catch the name of.
The main character of
The one he kills off.
Derek Storm.
Derek Storm.
Derek Storm.
So
yeah.
he's just killed off his main character.
Yeah.
And apparently he has writer's block according to his like manager ex-wife who appears for like 5 seconds and leaves.
So he like in the beginning of the episode, like basically he's already written so many books.
Yeah.
And he's
like
just kind of sick of the character as well, and he doesn't know what to do with him, and so he just kills him off in the book.
Yeah.
And then like everyone's like, okay, well what? Like, okay, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah.
No, there's nothing else.
Yeah,
right?
but he's too bored of like writing he wants something
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
He's always talking about in the episode, he's like, don't you want to have fun? And
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm like, what is fun for you?
Killing people?
Killing
probably?
people's fun.
I think he just doesn't have any like new ideas, and I don't know, in his personal life, like having more fun, quote unquote, will like inspire him for his whatever new books that he will eventually release.
Also, like the Pussycat Dolls were playing, that was a weird music choice.
Oh yeah.
There are a lot of like strange music choices for this show, especially.
I want to be famous. I want to be a star. And it's just Castle. Let me sign your boob.
Let me sign.
So then we find out after that well, during that it's like there's like the party and then there's like the murder scene. So we find out that the person who was killed is called Ashley Tisdale, and she's a social worker.
It was Allison.
I called her Ashley Tisdale, didn't I? Allison. Her name is Allison.
Okay.
Allison Tisdale.
We were all thinking of Ashley Tisdale during the whole
Because they
scenario
only mentioned her
because
as Tisdale.
Tisdale reminds us of Ashley Tisdale, and so it was actually Allison Tisdale,
Allison
guys.
Tisdale.
Allison
Well,
Tamara.
tongue twister.
Mhm. And we get like just like with Castle, we get like immediately we get like the characterization of Kate with like the I forgot the what do you call the person who looks at the body?
Investigator?
The medical examiner.
Yeah, the medical examiner.
forensics?
Yeah, the forensics is immediately like
Yeah.
you don't know love, like something, and then Kate's like, yeah, I don't even get to go out on the weekends or something, and then you immediately know she's like this woman who's like this typical
Love
woman.
is romantic.
Huh?
Love is romantic.
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, yeah.
And she's like this typical woman who's just like thrown into her work, and she's always working, and she doesn't know what love is or stuff like that.
She's like, yeah, I see that a lot in Saturday Night.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's cool though. I
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
her.
Mhm.
She's very badass.
That's the one thing I like, that she was really
Because
badass.
like the first thing
Yeah.
she said about her job was like, I do this for a living,
Mhm.
not as just like a passion or a fun thing. It's actually my living. So obviously, a person who takes the job that seriously cannot mess that up.
Mhm. And so then she's like a fangirl for Castle. So she knows all his books. So she immediately recognizes that.
Yeah.
That was the first instinct she got. Like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, these are those copied books. And what was the first one? I think it was the
The rose.
flowers for your grave.
Yeah. So and
Flowers for
then
your grave.
immediately she shows up at the party and arrests him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it was more of like, do you have any fans, or like it was more of to get the hold of the letters or any kind of mail from the
Oh yeah,
fans.
she doesn't really arrest him.
No.
She just kind of brings him in for questioning.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
because those were like related to his books.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first kind of like striking of interest that Castle has taken in a while.
Yeah. He's all like, hey.
Even his daughter is like, oh, there we go, something interesting happened.
Yeah, and then he's all like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit on this woman while she's questioning me. He's like, boys will be boys, and like I hate that phrase. And she's just sitting there like, please, just let me do my job, sir. So she questions him, and we find out like he obviously realizes that she's like a big fan of his. What is it that happens after that?
Allison Tisdale, she got killed, and then there's another guy. I think it's the secretary of hers. I'm not sure who was that. What was the name of that guy? There were two other people who were killed, and the second guy who was found dead. He was found dead on the floor with the
Pentagram?
Yeah, with the pentagram,
Mm-hmm.
and the book was Hell Hath No Fury.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was like basically the killer, whoever it was, he was copying the books, the way he wrote them, and the way the murders were happening,
Mm-hmm.
just
Inside the books.
Yeah,
So
inside the books, and then ended up killing them.
Mhm.
And they just ended up getting to
Mhm.
know who can it be.
does the third murder happen yet?
It was.
It happens later on.
It happens later on.
Like before they find the killer or the supposed killer?
It did. 3 murders happened. The third one.
The woman in the water.
The woman in the water.
Yes.
The
Right.
prom queen.
The prom queen.
Mhm.
So then there was like this part I didn't get. There was like fingerprints that were sent to they had fingerprints and then they find out who the fingerprints belong to.
It was the guy they caught.
Yeah, but how'd they get the fingerprints?
Oh, they saw. So when they were checking the books and stuff, so they got into the house from the mails. The mails that the
it was on the mail.
Yeah,
wasn't
it was
it?
in the mail.
Right. We didn't
Rick
even
got.
mention that. Like she goes through Castle's fan mail with him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he like during the while that's happening, they like have a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He like profiles her, which I thought I wrote that in my notes, something like, oh, well, he can profile people very well,
Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah.
And he knows that she has like some sort of a dark past,
Yeah.
and
He sees through it basically.
Yeah.
He's
Through a
very
person.
analytical, and he even said he uses like psychopathic methodologies.
Reverse psychopath.
So
yeah.
basically, he tries to see what the story is behind everything,
Mhm.
and that includes Kate Beckett. So
Mhm.
just by like looking at her and seeing her expressions and how she behaves, he tries to think like what could have, what ended up happening to make her a detective and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And the way that it was portrayed, you think like he knows pretty much everything about her before he even like develops anything, any kind of like relationship or connection with
Yeah.
her. Yeah,
He-
which I think is really good.
Mhm. And she's like, you don't know everything about me.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I think he kind of does.
But the
I mean, it's a
expression
good
she was
start.
giving was like she was actually giving him a lot
Yeah.
with her like eyes changing, and she was like,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, he's getting into me. He's like he knows a lot,
Mhm.
especially even if like not a lot of stuff, like not a color thing or a food thing that he doesn't know about, but he knows the major secret or
Mhm.
like the major thing that actually affects her a lot in
Mhm.
her real life.
Mhm.
So she was quite intimidated by that.
Uh-huh. And then they find the letter
Yeah.
because it has some sort of
The same kind of drawing that how the first girl, Alison Tisdale was murdered, and it was kind of like a portrait, like a drawing.
Yeah.
How it was the eyes were the flowers were in the eyes and the
Yeah.
body was on the table.
Mhm.
It was that.
And then they decide to just go to this guy's house, and they find that he's like this huge obsessive
Yeah.
fan, and he has
Yes.
like stuff everywhere.
Every book, and he had a like tiny closet just filled with his like
Mhm.
his picture in the middle. It was basically a
a
Rick
shrine.
Castle shrine, exactly. That was
Shrine.
And, like, Kate's
good
like-
job.
Kate's like, stay in the car, Castle, and Castle's like, no. And
He just has to interfere like a kid.
yeah.
He says something like "Scout's honor, I'll stay here," and then he said, "I never was a scout," and he just shows up in the inside.
I was never a scout.
My
My safe word is apple.
bondage.
Bondage.
It's like everything that he says is like supposed to create like a be
Humor, yeah.
He just wants a reaction out
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah.
So they arrest the guy that they find in that house. His name's like Kyle Cabot. Lyle Cabot?
Kyle.
Kyle
Kyle.
Kyle Cabot.
Kevin.
So they arrest him, and Castle knows that it's not him because it's too easy.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
too easy to catch the guy like that. And the way he was acting, it was like he was shaking and everything, and he was talking to himself, so they thought that this could be the murderer because he looks like a psychopath.
And also, he's like the Ashley Tisdale. Allison Tisdale was his social worker.
Because he had a criminal record before
Yeah.
as well.
It's just like it just didn't like add up, even from a viewer's point of view. It didn't add up to like the reason behind
Yeah.
everything. Like, and I think that's what Castle was also going for. Like, there has to be like a story. There has to be something more like substantial, rather than just the evidence that like led up to it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
how was the prom queen and like the Hell Hath No Fury related to Kyle? It was like they all had some sort of relation to him.
Yeah, basically. And it was just like because he copied the first murder, and then they just like basically put it on that,
Mhm.
okay, if he performed that one, so the other two were
Uh-huh.
also the
Done by the
copies of,
same
might
people.
be the same person,
Yeah.
because they were also the copies of the same books, like the
Mhm.
same, what
They're all
was the
related,
author, yeah.
because the one thing that like created
But the other thing was the guy never made any confession. And
Yeah.
he wasn't even given any, like, he didn't give any alibi, or even he wasn't even provided any lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
which is like
Yeah.
the major part. They never gave him any lawyer or any kind of attorney.
Mm-hmm.
He
which
just
is
kind of-
stupid.
they just
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was just like
said-
he's sitting there, he's not saying. So you're not basically, you cannot conclude that this is his confession or he's not saying anything.
Mhm.
But they were almost about to end up the case,
Mm-hmm.
and he said that no, it's not him.
They honestly, they would have ended the case if
Yeah.
it was not for Castle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because Castle was the one who was like, no, there has to be something else. He's innocent,
Yeah.
and he just like went based on like his gut and his like experiences as a writer, which is like kind of shocking for Kate, but it ended up
She ended up
Giving
like
him
giving him
direction.
direction. Yeah, she ended up like researching on it, and she was like, okay, I'll give it a chance. And then she started rereading the whole case,
Mm-hmm.
and then she started to look up for the evidences.
Yeah, and then
And
she realizes that like not
there's
everything
more,
completely
yeah.
matched the book, and Kyle is like he has this some sort of obsessive. He has
a
a
disorder. Some
he has a
kind of-
disorder,
yeah.
Mhm.
and so he's really obsessive. And so she says somebody who is obsessive as him wouldn't have missed these easy details in the book
Yeah.
during the murder, like the
color
dress
of
of
the
the
dress.
girl who was
Yeah.
murdered in the prom queen. She was supposed to be blue, but it was yellow.
yes.
So then she's like, Castle. Oh God, Castle's right.
So all of
Yeah.
the 3 cases had something that was different from the actual book,
Mhm.
and someone so like obsessive would not have
Would not,
missed
yeah.
the details.
There's a movie called Basic Instinct. In that, like the lady, she tries to portray the murder as in like she kills the guy with the ice pick and everything. I'm not sure if you guys have watched that documentary on Netflix called Don't Fuck with Cats.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's about the guy. He's actually from Toronto, Luca Magnotta,
Oh.
and he portrayed the whole movie as a murder crime, and it was exactly like he actually put the painting, and then the guy he killed, the victim, he was tied up with the bed, and then he made
Oh,
the
yeah.
a screwdriver
Yeah,
look
yeah,
like
yeah.
an ice pick.
Okay.
So that's also like something he copied. So basically in this one, if the person who's copying or like actually obsessive with some kind of novel or any kind of like movie or anything, they
They would've-
wouldn't miss those kind of easy like catchy
Yeah.
details.
They would have paid more attention.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. After that, I remember Castle being sent to jail.
Yeah,
Because he
'cause
interferes
he
in some
steals
way.
something
Yeah,
from her.
He steals
From
part
Kate.
of the
He steals
yeah.
the case files from
part
Kate.
Yeah.
of the case files. Yeah. So she realized it was missing, and then she goes and she arrests him, and then immediately after, his daughter and his mother just bail him out.
Yeah, and then Kate realizes that whole thing,
Yeah.
that it's like, oh, Castle was right. So she goes to him and
You guys missed when he gives her the first edition of his next book. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
actually like as in like a trust thing that okay, yeah, you trust me, and he just basically gets her into the trust, and then
he steals her case files.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she's like, okay,
He
got
is
me,
like a child. Like a
He got
child.
me.
Yeah. So then after that, Castle says something like, the other 2 murders were just kind of like to distract us.
From the actual case.
Yeah, so there's only one actual murder who's
Yes.
supposed to be real, and that was Ashley Tisdale's, Allison Tisdale's, it was
Yes.
Tisdale. And so they think that they want to go interview the family, and then they do, and they just by looking at the Allison Tisdale's dad, he realizes that he's sick,
Mhm.
and that he probably has cancer, and that he's just faking to make sure for his shareholders that he's actually okay, but he's not.
Mhm. He
And
wore makeup and
Yeah.
He tries to look like fit and fine, but
Yeah.
he's actually like he's working out, but he's actually sick.
Mm-hmm.
and he compares like the photos around him, like of the same person of the dad, but his actual reality was a lot different. He looked a lot thinner and stuff like that.
And then while talking to him, they realize that he has a son, so there's a brother in this whole equation, which immediately made me think of Ryan Tisdale from the High School Musical.
Oh my.
And then I thought, oh no, what if Ryan killed Ashley Tisdale?
Two thought process.
Two thought process.
Come back from musical.
We're all in this together.
Well, Castle's not a musical, that's for sure.
Is there a musical episode? Because there's a musical.
Oh, actually, I think there is.
Oh my god,
I think there
that's
is.
great.
I think so.
So then
They start investigating the brother.
yeah, and they realize that the brother, when they go to investigate him, that he's lying about a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. That he says, "Oh, I was
I
during
wasn't
the
there,
murders.
yeah.
I wasn't there. I was in another country." And then when they leave, Kate's like, "It's obvious he's lying because he's already prepared an alibi
Yeah.
Yes.
for it." And then they go to arrest him, and he's he knows that he's dead. Like he's gonna get like caught, so he's shredding all of his evidence.
Yeah. As they're like arriving at the scene,
Yeah.
he's like in the meantime like, ugh.
Yeah. Gotta shred all my stuff.
Oh my god.
Oh my
Get
God.
my NYPD on your door. Like, yeah, wait a second. I'm just shred my yeah.
The door. He's like, just 1 second.
Let me shred my shredding.
And then like downstairs before Kate goes up, she looks at Castle and she's like, hey, go and get my gun from the thing. You need to be prepared. And then she locks him to the car.
Handcuffs him with the
I mean, it was good until
Yeah. And I was just like, scream your safe word. It's Apple. Scream it. She'll open it for you. And then
But he still managed to come out somehow.
yeah, he like drops the key and he's like trying to get it.
with
It's, like,
with
so
one shoe
dramatic.
out. Yeah.
Mhm. And then the guy the brother Harrison, he escapes through the window and he's outside. He's still carrying the shredded paper.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then Castle somehow gets loose and he starts chasing after him with his boot.
Yeah, and then behind him is Kate. She's like, no, Castle, no, don't run.
And Castle's like, yes, Castle will run.
Yeah, because sometimes he's
I need
really
to-
stupid.
Yeah, I need to be a hero in this.
Mhm.
It's my story.
It's my story. And then Castle gets captured by Harrison, because of course he does.
Yeah.
And then
He's stupid.
he's stupid. And he has a gun stuck to his face, and Castle's like trying to get Harrison to confess a little bit because he knows that he shredded the stuff.
Yes.
And Harrison, of course, confesses because he's a bad guy in a TV plot. Because of course
He tries to provoke him by saying, like, your father said no to you because you wanted money for your debt and everything, and your father wasn't giving it to you because you always loved the sister and everything.
Yeah.
And then he was like, yeah, I killed him. I killed her because
He
she was
actually-
gonna...
He actually kind of got him to say things that they didn't even know.
Yeah.
Like no one knew
It was more
what
than a
the reason
confession,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, he profiled him.
Yeah.
Just like he did with
Kate.
Yeah.
And then what happened? Like they managed. Castle like knocks him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he knocks
it's
him
with
with
the
the
Handcuffs.
yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Tell me you saw that." Such a man-child. Then Kate gets him and starts putting the handcuffs on Harrison. And she's like, "You could have been killed." And Castle's like, "The safety was on." And she's like, "Well, you could have told me." He's like, "That wouldn't have been fun."
See, I saw you. I saved you so much time.
They wrap up and they have like a sweet moment.
Mhm.
She's all like, I would have. What did she say?
No, it's just like he was like, she said, so this is it. And Castle says that, oh, this can go a little further. Like, what about dinner and everything? And she's like that.
You don't even know.
No, she said this would have been great. Like, oh, you have no idea.
Yeah. She like goes over to his ear and like whispers like, "You have
And
no
biting her
idea."
lips.
Yeah,
biting her
She
lips.
like bites her lower lip. I'm like, oh my god.
Okay, so this girl, she has some flirting power too,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's based on like his personality really. I think it's still based on her like fangirl self of
Yeah.
like from
She
reading
has
his
like
books.
this image of him as an author, and she likes that.
Yeah.
But the actual image of Castle is this man-child.
It's still developing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
still in progress.
Yeah.
It's at the bottom level.
When he's profiling and when he's with his daughter, that's attractive. But when
Yeah.
he like opens his mouth and he's like, "Hey," it's like that.
Basically, when he's around like regular women.
Yeah. When
Without his
he's
daughter.
pretending to be like a bad boy or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we find out, like, later on that, Castle goes home and he immediately is able to start writing again. He's over his writer's block.
Yeah, that gave him inspiration.
Yeah, the whole case and everything gave him inspiration.
Mhm.
And then we find out, what is it that happens next?
The mayor calls, and then what's it called?
Yeah.
The captain calls back at
Captain Montgomery.
He calls her in the office and says that mayor is happy and the commissioner's happy. You have a fan. She said, what do you mean? He said, you have a fan because Rick Castle is writing another book and you're the main character in the book you are featuring. She's like, what do you mean by that? He said, so
Basically,
the commissioner is happy, so
To impress
yeah.
the higher ups, he just takes in Castle
Yeah.
and lets him just kind of watch over Kate's
How she
cases.
works and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
So he
What's
write
her
his book.
personality, basically. What's
So
her
basically,
personality?
it's like saying, in the future, like he's
Castle's
also
gonna
going to
be
be
your
here.
caller.
Yeah, he's gonna be with you every time you
She's
work
like,
with the
and
case.
all of a sudden she's like, no. Even though before she was like, yes.
Tell me this.
Well, okay, before she was like, yes, because it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
But now she's like, oh shit, it's happening.
Yeah. Can we talk about the fact that he calls her Nikki Heath in
Nikki
his
Heath.
book?
Oh boy. boy.
He couldn't choose any other name.
You know what though? Because he has like that scene with like the other authors at the table, and those other authors are like real authors.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like James Patterson's there, and he's like, "Oh, I wouldn't kill off Nick Cross." Like they all of their detectives in their books have those weird names like Nick Cross and
Okay, a little fun fact.
yeah.
So his books that he writes in the show, some of those books are actual books.
Oh yeah, they do that with Murder She Wrote too. They make
Yeah.
books,
Oh.
and they'll be like, "Yeah, Jessica Fletcher wrote them" or whatever. But
Yeah, that's
I think when we went to Anime North,
Yeah.
I think when we went to the convention, I saw a bunch of the books and I took photos. I think I mentioned it to you. By that time, you didn't watch
I was
Castle,
probably like,
so...
"Oh yeah, great."
Yeah, basically.
That's nice, dude.
I was just like, yeah, woo. Click, click.
Click, click. Great, that's nice. So then, is there anything? Oh yeah, her colleagues
Mm-hmm.
are such bastards.
Oh my god, yeah.
They're just making
Full,
fun
like-
of her, like, "Ooh, you like Castle? Ooh, ooh."
Ooh, yeah. And
never-
they're even like, oh, you read his books, that's why you think that this is the case that he copied or whatever. And she was like, do you just want to work on the case or no?
Yeah.
They're very judgmental because she doesn't really, before she met Castle, to be honest, she didn't really have a life.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't do anything, and all you saw was just, like, the serious Beckett. So all of a sudden, because she's all, like, a little bit, like, you know, her
Smiling
emotions are, like,
and-
kind
yeah.
of bouncing up and down, they're, like,
They
kind of
turn
picking on that.
They turn into like schoolyard children. Like,
Yeah.
Who even know? Like, they might also have hit on her, honestly. the way
Yeah.
they were talking to her.
They seem like those types
Yeah.
of guys at a workplace or whatever.
But they're funny, though. They're cool.
hmm
Yeah.
So like, if you were to rate this episode, like, it's just the first episode, but like as like a pilot episode, how do you feel?
Like, out of 10, maybe?
Out of 10?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
Out of 10 castles, how many castles would you give it?
I would give him,
How many books?
let's say 6.
6?
Yeah.
I'm at a 6.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm at a 6 too. I didn't, as I said, I started watching in season 3, so it was like already at the climax at that time. So that part was like way more intense than right now.
Okay.
I only started watching it back because I wanted to know like the backstory and stuff. Because some of the things were a little bit confusing, and I wanted to know why certain things happened. Because although all the cases are different. There's one thing that's like the actual main story, and yeah, so later on you'll see what
Okay.
that is.
Oh, I guess there's like an overarching story or something, like with Sherlock
Yeah.
Holmes or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So I guess we will see you all for the next episode whenever that happens, because I have to edit this one now, and it looks very long. It's 29 minutes. This is good.
30.
30.
Let's finish it at 30.
Well, we will, because we have to say thank you to Harpreet for joining us randomly.
Aw,
Thank you,
Harpreet.
Aw. You're welcome.
And bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye,
We'll see
whoever
you-
listens.
Oh my god. So we'll see you later for the episode 2 of Shownanigans. Goodbye.
Bye.